Bear down, Bears fans. Listen, the offseason is here, and so it means for most people that they're fishing for content, they're digging for stuff, trying to figure out what are we going to talk about. For me, I think it's a perfect time to look back at the Chicago Bears and see, okay, how did we get to this point? What the heck happened that put us in a position that has us all excited? And so because of that, I want to look back at Ryan Poles' 3 best trades that he's made since he's been a Chicago Bear, and it starts right now. Now, if you are new to the channel, please like the video. Please subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel to talk Chicago sports, how Chicago talks. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. So Chicago Bears have come a long way since Ryan Poles has showed up, and you got to give him a ton of credit because as you start going through the trades that he's made, and that's why I wanted to kind of have this look back in history, even though it's not that far back in history, right? But I want to have this look back in history because to me, I'm looking at a situation where every trade is almost its own different story because it fits into different pieces. And all of a sudden you see this piece move to bring in this piece, or this piece move to acquire this piece. And it all comes from previous trades. So I'm very excited looking through this list. And it really just, it speaks to how cold Ryan Poles has been with how he's been able to attack the NFL and to build the Chicago Bears team. We really do have a gem here. Let's start it off with the Chargers Khalil Mack trade. This was one that was very much scrutinized when it happened. I mean, there were a lot of people who were out there like, why would you ever trade Khalil Mack? He's the best piece that you have, the linchpin of this defense. How could you move on from a guy like this on this team? You're putting yourself in a horrible position. Are you trying to lose all the games that you can? Yes, that's exactly what they were trying to do. And that's what makes this get very, very interesting to me, because when you look at the Chargers deal that they trade away for Khalil Mack, they end up trading a 2022 second round pick and a 2023 sixth round selection that the Chicago Bears would then further move. Now that 2022 selection for Khalil Mack ends up becoming Roquan Smith, which is absolutely a huge linchpin piece of your defense right now, the safety that this team has been needing for years to come, right? Like for years, we've been talking about it, getting a dominant safety ever since Mike Brown. We thought we had one with Eddie Jackson, but just not a big tackler. Roquan Smith steps in, fits that role perfectly. Boom. All right, we got this piece in place. But on top of that, that's not even the best part of this trade to me, right? Because the 6th round pick is nothing. They end up trading that 6th round pick. Elijah Hicks basically comes from that. They traded for 2 7ths back to the Chargers. They get Elijah Hicks and Trenton Gill out of that, who has since been replaced, right? They didn't get Chargers didn't get anything out of it either. They got Scott Matlock out of that at number 200. All right, cool. But the biggest part of this Khalil Mack deal that I think is the most important piece, and what I said the day that it happened, they took the money. I remember literally just like picking up my phone and going, yeah, oh, you're gonna take the money? Yeah, call the office, call the league office. Yeah, no, put the paperwork through. We're gonna get the deal done. Like, my God, they took the money. That was the biggest part of this. And you want to know how huge it was when you look through the next couple of seasons, right? That season, they end up only gaining $6.15 million in salary cap in 2022. But in 2023 and in 2024, you added on $28.5 million and $23.25 million in salary cap space. We know the additions that we made last season, right? And some pieces that we had to pay mid-season and things like that. That money helps that Khalil Mack replacement, the money that was there to create that piece, right? That money essentially goes to Montez Sweat when you're looking at it at the end of the day. Now coming into this season, you open up more salary cap for yourself for you to pay the rookies that are on the 2 top 10 rookies that you have with a little bit of cap space left over. I think that this is a masterful move by Ryan Poles. I thought it was a phenomenal trade when it happened. And to me, I know there were a lot of Bears fans that didn't like the deal. I know there were a lot of Bears fans fans that, especially after Khalil Mack has his season like he did last year, where 16 and a half sacks, right? Where are you going to replace that? I would have loved to have Khalil Mack opposite that. But when you're talking about building out an entire team and adding more pieces, I'm always going to be in favor of adding multiple pieces at different positions than just going out and having the one piece. Would I have loved to have Khalil Mack in a possible trade that ends up working out to be Montez Sweat? Yeah, but now you're in a salary cap situation where you can't trade for Montez Sweat, and so you got to figure some other things out. I think that Ryan Poles handled this perfectly. This is one of my favorite trades of all time that we've seen from the Chicago Bears, and I think that this was a smart move over the fan favorite move, and that's kind of what told me, like, all right, Ryan Poles might kind of have things figured out here. We'll see. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you as well. Did you like the Khalil Mack trade when it happened? Looking back on it, are you now a fan of the Khalil Mack trade? That's always the interesting part too, right? If you were somebody who hated a trade initially, at what point in the season did your mind change on that? Has your mind changed on that? Let me know in the comments below, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in and showing love. All right. Let's keep this thing going. Second trade for me that I think has been his second best trade to date. And this goes back into financials as well, but it's about moves that were acquired, that you were able to acquire in free agency because of it. Because the Roquan Smith trade is a genius trade. Again, another one that is not going to be a fan favorite trade. Roquan Smith is a phenomenal linebacker. There's no question about it. There's nobody that would argue it. If you're arguing that Roquan Smith isn't talented, like, shut up and just go home, right? Like that's just dumb. He's one of the best linebackers in the NFL. But what do the Chicago Bears end up getting from that trade? The Bears end up receiving a 2023 second round pick, number 53 overall. That ends up becoming Gervon Dexter, who last season, right, a little bit of a climb, but seemed like in the second half of last season, he kind of started to figure things out. Since I've seen him, again, I know no pads on and stuff like that, but looks a lot leaner, looks like he can attack a lot quicker, looks like he's figured out his position in this league. Love that for him. At the 2023 pick, the 5th round pick that they were able to get, 148, that ends up being Noah Sewell, somebody who I'm hoping to see take a step as far as being a linebacker this season, but jury's out on them. They also get back AJ Klein. That ends up being nothing for the Bears in the long run. But what this trade did was you drew a line in the sand and said, okay, we love you, Roquan, but we're not paying the kind of linebacker that you would be in this defense, right? Very different style of linebacker than what he is in the Ravens defense. We're not paying that style of linebacker the money that you're looking for. Instead, we're going to take that money and we're going to turn it into 2 other linebackers on this team. They end up being able to go out with the money they would have had to pay Roquan Smith and signing TJ Edwards and adding Tremaine Edmonds for that same amount of money. And on top of that, the TJ Edwards acquisition, right? When you look at TJ Edwards' numbers from last season compared to Roquan Smith, realistically speaking, TJ Edwards had just about the same, if not better numbers than Roquan Smith. Now, I'm not saying, everybody breathe here. I'm not saying TJ Edwards is as good or better linebacker than Roquan Smith is. That's not the conversation that I'm having at all. The conversation that I'm having here is you replaced Roquan Smith's production on the field while also adding in a guy in Tremaine Edmonds who I'm really going to be intrigued to see how he settles in this season. Now, knowing the defense, this defense has been flying all over the field. We really saw him take an uptick in production the second Montez Sweat was able to step on the field. And you really saw that linebacking core come into their own as they kind of figured out this system through the season. I think that you came out in a better situation by moving on from Roquan than if you had kept him here, because we still would have been looking for those 2 off-ball linebackers. We'd have been looking for our strong side and weak side linebackers, right? And I think that in both situations, you're sitting there now probably not with the cream of the crop. And again, you're in a cap situation where you've got this massively paid linebacker who absolutely deserves all the money he got, but you've got this massively paid off-ball linebacker on your team that doesn't have a lot of help out there, is not putting him in the best position. And now we're looking at him crazy saying Roquan Smith probably isn't that good, right? Like those are the things where Ryan Poles trades have almost been like smart business moves for the Chicago Bears, put the Bears in phenomenal positions, of course, but it almost like protects the narratives that would have come out around these players, because Roquan Smith was in a no-win situation. He could have been a phenomenal linebacker for the Chicago Bears, but if you don't have the other guys that you can put in the lineup next to him, I think that you end up, right, everything ends up coming down, right? Everything ends up balancing out. And you're not in a position right now where you can sit there and say, well, you know, actually, we've got this guy on the team who contributes and fits perfectly into a defense, because there are two other guys opposite him and Jack Sanborn and TJ Edwards who fall perfectly into what the Bears are trying to run. So for me, I think that is huge when you're talking about a trade. And this one is one of probably my second favorite trade, because again, not taking the fan element into it. I said there were some things that Ryan Poles did throughout that process that to me were disrespectful, right? I hated the fact that he put de-escalators in the contract that he offered to Roquan Smith to try and make him one of the lower paid linebackers in the NFL by the end of his contract. But you know what? The long term, I love the way that he went about doing the business. He put Roquan in a championship level position over there with Baltimore, with a team that seems like they're ascending right now. And he put the Bears in a phenomenal position as well. So I love both of those. I think both of those are two trades that you have to look back on and say, this is the moment that the Bears end up getting shaped here, especially when you look at this Bears defense. Now, I will say this, honorable mention, right? And before I get to my number one trade, which we know what the number of trade is, right? We're all here for this, right? We all know, but we got to break it down. You know what I mean? We got to look at what really went into all of this. We got to break it down. But my honorable mention trade is the small trade where the Chicago Bears at 9 could have taken Jalen Carter, but chose not to. They end up moving from 9 to 10. They take Darnell Wright at 10. Darnell Wright looks like a phenomenal right tackle, addressing the offensive line, addressing the offense, things that we wanted to see the Chicago Bears do. We know that we still are looking for that 3 technique. Hopefully you're able to get that with Jervon Dexter, who, like I said, was taken with that 53rd overall pick. Again, another trade that kind of puts you in a position where you can make moves like this. Hopefully you're able to get that out of him. But in the 2024 pick that they get back from that, a 2024 fourth, that is 122. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the punt god. That is the man, the myth, the legend, Tory Taylor. Take that for what you will. It's an honorable mention. That is what everybody has been freaking out, losing their mind over, right? When you look at that young man, that's the guy that everybody wants to see. Okay, what's he going to be able to do outside of all the Caleb Williams and all of that? The fact that you were able to get that pick to utilize it for the punt god, all right, let's see if he's the punt god, but not a bad move there. That's my honorable mention. Drop your honorable mention in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you guys as well. Now let's talk about the number one trade. We know what the number one trade is. It is shaping the Chicago Bears franchise as we speak. The Chicago Bears trade the first overall pick to the Carolina Panthers for Bryce Young, who end up taking, I should say, Bryce Young in 2023. The Bears end up receiving a 2023 first round pick, the number 9 overall pick, which, like I said, ends up getting traded to 10 for Darnell Wright, a 2023 second round pick, which is the 61st overall pick, which, by the way, was packaged to move up to go get Tyreek Stevenson, I believe at 56 as well. The 2024 first round pick, which is the first overall pick in this year's draft, which is Caleb Williams, and a 2025 second, which we'll see what Ryan Poles is able to trade and turn that into. That's really a big part of this. Are you going to trade that pick? Do you use that pick? Where are the Bears at? I think I don't see a scenario, and let me know if you feel differently. I don't see a scenario where Ryan Poles has that pick by the end of this season. We've seen him the last couple of years. He's willing to move some second round picks. I think we're going to see some more of that this season. And of course, DJ Moore. And I think here's the thing. When you talk about a fleecing, and we can look back at a lot of trades, but I believe that this trade will be looked at as the greatest fleecing of a team all time. I understand the Herschel Walker trade. A lot of great players come out of the Herschel Walker trade, right? The picks that they end up acquiring from that, you go out and you get a lot of great players. But what this pick may do, what trading this 2023 first may do, may put you in a position for the first time in my lifetime, I would say, let's be real, in almost everybody who's watching this video's lifetime. There are some older people who end up enjoying the YouTube and watch our content as well. But for everybody who watches this video's lifetime, it has given them an opportunity to see a quarterback possibly show up in a Chicago Bears uniform. You end up getting Caleb Williams out of this. He ends up becoming the quarterback that everyone believes that he's going to become, that everyone says that he's going to become. I'll tell you this right now. This goes down as the greatest fleece in sports history, not just Chicago sports history, but arguably sports history, that the Chicago Bears have pulled off. And I can't wait to see what this season is going to bring. And to me, when I look at this trade, man, you just see the addition of playmakers all over the field. Like I said, you traded up in this package to go get, and that's the funny part about this, right? For the most part, a lot of the high picks that we've made, and when you look through a lot of the trades, I look through every trade that Ryan Poles has made to this point. A lot of the trades that the Bears have made, you end up seeing impact players being drafted. And that's the part that excites me about this. Yes, the trade is phenomenal, but they also have drafted phenomenally, which is why we're going to end up looking through each of the draft picks and all that Ryan Poles has made to this point on a different video. But you have to be able to make the right selection. And Ryan Poles has been able to do that over his tenure here. And to me, that is the part about this that excites me the most. When you see, okay, yeah, I'm able to make this. I'm able to get this addition. Guess what? The freaking trade that the Bears made to the then, I believe they were still the Oakland Raiders then, to get Khalil Mack. Why was that not that big of a deal to me at the end of the day? Yes, we lost a ton of draft capital that I hated, yeah, but Oakland didn't pick a single player outside of Josh Jacobs that was any good on that team. And on top of that, they then let Josh Jacobs go. So I was okay with the scenario that the Bears kind of put themselves in to go get Khalil Mack, because Oakland was stupid, right? The Bears have not been stupid with their moves, and I think that this trade to me signifies that the most. Even just the small thing, right, of trading down one spot to go get Darnell Wright, adding a pick that adds the punter to your team that could be the punt god, as people are saying, right? When you look at the 2023 pick that ends up being packaged for Tyreek Stevenson, his rookie year, he's making impact plays. He's out there being a guy that looks like, wow, we've got two shutdown corners out here. Not better towards the end of the season than the beginning of the season. He still gave up 9 touchdowns last year, so it wasn't all pretty, right? But there was a lot of time where he was trying to figure things out. Once he figured it out, though, it seemed like he really became that dominant number 2 cornerback that you needed on this team. On top of that, adding in Caleb Williams and, of course, DJ Moore. Like, DJ Moore, I'm gonna be real with you. Starting off with this, you could take half of this away if DJ Moore was included, and I'd feel good about it. That's how real this is. And it still blows my mind that the Panthers were like, we're not going to get rid of Brian Burns. We're re-signing Brian Burns. We'll give you DJ Moore. You give up on DJ Moore just to give up Brian Burns anyway. So to me, this is the number 1 trade the Chicago Bears have made under Ryan Poles' tenure, and dare I say, the best trade the Chicago Bears have made in their NFL history, and the biggest fleecing in sports for sure. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. What would your number 1 be? What do you guys feel is the best trades that you've seen the Chicago Bears made since Ryan Poles has been here? Is there a different honorable mention for you? Let me know your list in the comments below. I'll be down to talk with you guys as well. As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down. One love. Peace.